In this video, we will see the backpropagation algorithm in detail. So now let us see what are the steps involved in the backpropagation algorithm. In this, mainly we have 4 steps. First step is called as initialization of weights. And the second step is feed-forward phase. And the third one is backpropagation, where you are going to backpropagate the errors. And finally, updation of weights and bias. So these are all the weights, steps involved in the backpropagation algorithm. Other than the first step, that is initialization of weight, all the remaining steps will be done in so many iterations. Okay, it is an iterative algorithm. It is going to repeat certain steps again and again till the stopping condition is reached. Okay, so we will see those things also. Now we will focus on the first step, initialization of weight. So what is initialization? If you consider here in our model, we are having so many weight values. Weight is nothing but for every edge related to the input from the previous layer, we are assigning a weight value. Okay, so you have to learn weight of all the edges involved in the network, as well as you have to calculate the weight of the bias also. Okay, so that is nothing but the bias unit is having some weight associated with it. That also you have to calculate. But initially, we don't know what is the optimal weight value. So you will select some random weight value, as well as for our algorithm, we will set the learning rate. Learning rate is nothing but alpha. That is going to decide how much updation you will do in the weight value. So initialize all the weights and the learning value with some small random values. So this is the first step. Now let us go on to the second step. Second step is nothing but forward phase. What will happen during the forward phase in the hidden unit first? Because input unit is the first layer. Immediately after that, we have the hidden layer only. So now you have to consider what will happen in the hidden unit during the forward phase. So now I am considering a jth hidden unit during the forward phase. You can consider here, this is a hidden unit. Okay. And I can have another layer also in the hidden layer. I can have many hidden layers in this. So I'm going to focus on a single hidden unit only. This small yellow color circle I'm going to consider now. Like that, you can have so many hidden layers, as well as in every layer, you will have so many hidden units. So I'm going to consider only one neuron in the hidden unit. Now, if you consider the hidden unit, from where it is receiving its input, the first hidden layer unit will be receiving the input from the input unit. Okay. Then it will be sending it to the next unit. That can be either another hidden layer or otherwise an output layer. So we are going to now consider a simple network where we will have one input layer, one hidden layer, and then one output layer. Okay, so now let us consider that. So now I'm going to consider the jth hidden unit during the forward phase. So here I'm going to assume that I can have j vary from 1 to p. That is nothing but p number of neurons I'll have in the hidden layer. Okay, so now if you consider this, the hidden unit neuron, this is a neuron in the hidden unit, and it is going to receive data from many inputs. Here, the inputs are represented as x1, x2, etc. up to xn. And for every input unit, some weight value is associated with it. So if you consider v1j, it is nothing but the weight value associated with the connection from the input unit x1 to the jth hidden unit. That's why it is written as v1j. Similarly, v2j represents the weight associated with connection from the input unit x2 to the jth unit, and so on. Okay, similarly, we have the bias term also. Always the bias value will be 1. But for this, we are going to associate a weight. That value is nothing but b0j. Okay, since we are considering with jth hidden unit, the second term is j in all these things. Now, what will happen when a neuron receives an input and bias? So in this case, the neuron will be finding something called as q in j. Q in j is nothing but simply find the weighted sum of all the inputs it is receiving, including the bias. We have already seen that q in j can be calculated as 1 multiplied by bij plus x1 multiplied by v1j plus x2 multiplied by v2j, etc. up to xn multiplied by vnj. That is called as q in j. And once the neuron finds the summation, then it will call the activation function. The activation function can be anything. It can be ReLU or otherwise sigmoid. Any activation function you can write, tan h and so on. We have seen multiple activation functions. You can use anything. And here, whatever may be the thing, this f represents the activation function. it is receiving this weighted sum as the input. That is nothing but this value is received as the input, and it is going to calculate f of q in j. Based upon that, it will generate the output qj. Okay, so now if you consider the jth unit is generating the output qj. Now what will happen to this output? This will be forwarded to the next layer. Here I am assuming that the next layer is the output layer. Okay, so this is a basic. With this only we are going to see the next slide. Now, forward computing phase. In this, each input unit receives the input signal xi, and then it will send it to the hidden unit for all I is equal to 1 to n. Here n represents number of inputs we have. Now, the hidden layer neuron is going to calculate the net input by using this particular equation. This only I have told you in the previous slide. Sigma I is equal to 1 to n xi multiplied by wij. This is weighted sum of all the inputs. Then add the bias to that. It's nothing but b0 j. Then finally, after you add it, you will be getting q in j. Here, j represents 1 to p. That's nothing but in the hidden layer, I have p neurons totally. And n represents number of inputs. Then, after I compute q in j, calculate the net output by applying the activation function. So activation function is nothing but qj is equal to f of q in j. Once you do that, you will be getting the output from the particular neuron in the hidden layer. Then what you have to do is send these output signals of the hidden layer unit to the output layer unit. In the output layer also, you can have any number of neurons. You will be sending this to the next layer. So this is done in the hidden layer unit in the forward computing phase. Now let us see what will happen in the output unit during the forward phase. Here I am going to assume that in the output I have m neurons. For simplicity, I am telling only the calculation done in one single neuron. Okay, so here kth output unit during the forward phase where k varies from 1 to m. Now if you consider from where the output unit is receiving the input. During the forward phase, it is receiving the input from the previous hidden layer. Okay, so in the previous diagram, I have calculated the output of one hidden layer. Likewise, one hidden layer neuron. Likewise, it will receive input from so many neurons in the hidden layer. So I'm going to assume that those inputs are nothing but Q1, Q2, etc. up to QP because I have P neurons in the hidden layer. Okay, and if you consider this, for every input, some weight is associated. So for the output Q1 from the hidden layer neuron, we are associating a weight value W1K. So you have to multiply Q1 and W1K, then add it with Q2 W2K, then add it with QP WPK. Plus bias you have to add. That is nothing but B0K. Here why I am considering K is because I am dealing with kth output unit. So once you add all these components, you will be getting Y and K. Y and K is nothing but summation of input to the kth output unit. And once you get the summation, you apply the activation function to that. That activation function is nothing but F. I'm applying that over this summation input only. So once I do that, I'll be getting the output from the output unit. That is nothing but YK. So this YK is the final output in our multi-layer artificial neural network. So many neurons in the output unit, but I am focusing only on one neuron. During the forward computing phase, calculate the net input at the output layer unit using the following relation. So this is the relation you have to apply. First term is related to the bias and the second term is related to summation of all the weighted inputs from the hidden layer neurons. And once you do that, you will get Y and K. Then send this Y and K to the activation function F. That will give you the final output YK according to the formula you have, according to the function you have selected for the activation. Then you are going to compare this output with the actual output and find the error. Because at the output layer, we are getting the actual output. That we can compare with the expected output. As during the training, we will give only supervised learning. This comes under supervised learning. So for every training sample, we'll have also the expected weight. So we are going to compare these two values and find the error term. Now, after you find the error, you are going to have back propagation of errors. Okay, so in that, what you will do, update the weights in W. Using this updation of weights will be done in the hidden layer as well as in the input layer. Okay, so once you update the weights in the hidden layer, you have to propagate the error to the previous layer. Okay, because you're dealing with the backward direction. So we will see that now. Now I am going to compute the error at the output unit. Let us see how we can find the error at the output unit. So in the previous slide, we have seen that in the output unit, you are predicting YK. YK is nothing but the output predicted from the model. And for this, you will have some expected output. That is nothing but TK. TK represents the actual output. And this is a predicted value. You compare both of these. If they are equal, there is no need for any weight updation because you are getting the correct output. You can stop your algorithm. If they are not equal, you have to find the error. So error is nothing but TK minus YK. It's nothing but difference between these two terms. Find the error. After that, you are going to find something called as delta K. So what is this delta K is? This is related to the gradient. Okay, that is nothing but the change in the error. With the help of this only, you are going to update your weight values. So you have to find something called as delta K. That is related to the gradient. How to do that? You know now TK minus YK, you have to find delta K. See, this is related to an output unit with this particular diagram. Okay, so if you consider this delta K is now related to F dash of Y and K. So what is this Y and K is? In the previous slide, I told you that this output unit, after receiving the summation of input, it is going to send it to the activation function F. Okay, so that is the activation function. It can be either sigmoid or ReLU and so on. You have to find derivative of that particular activation function. That is called as F dash. Okay, so whatever is the activation function you have used, find the derivative of that function, then multiply the value with TK minus YK. Now you will get the error term delta K. Okay, this delta K only you have to back propagate to the previous layer. So this is very important, guys. Delta K, how we are calculating. TK minus YK is the error. That error we are going to multiply with derivative of the activation function output. So then we will be sending this. So once you calculate delta K, what we will do is we will update the bias BOK as well as the weight values WJK by means of these equations. So try to understand what is this equation. So delta K, now you are computing by this particular formula. Okay, to compute the bias, you multiply that delta K with the learning rate of the algorithm. When during the initialization, we already set the learning rate, multiply these two, you will be getting delta POK. That is nothing but change in the bias value at the kth output unit. Similarly, you have to change the weight also. We have so many weights here. All the weights you have to change according to this delta K. For that, we have this formula. Delta WJK is equal to the learning rate alpha minus delta K. This is nothing but what is the weight value you are propagating backward. Okay, that multiplied by QJK. What is this QJK? These weights are now associated with some inputs, okay, from the previous layer. So those, according to this input also, you have to update the weight. Okay, so for that only, we are multiplying that with QJK. If you consider for the bias term, we don't have that because here it is 1, always the value is 1. So you can assume that there is a multiplied with 1. So we'll be getting the same answer. But for the input, according to the input, you have to do. So I am multiplying that by the input also. So these two values only we are going to back propagate. Okay. So now let us see. Back propagation of errors. Now we are going to see. This is at the output layer. Compute the error correcting term. This delta K is called as error correcting term in correspondence with the target at each output unit. So delta K is now TK minus YK into F dash of Y and K. And back propagate this value to all the hidden units in the previous layer. Based upon this value, you are going to calculate the change in the weight and the bias. Okay, change in the weight is given by this formula and bias is given by this formula. We have already seen. So now this is done at the output layer during the back propagation. Now let us see what will happen in the hidden layer during the back propagation. So for that, I'm going to consider jth hidden unit. If you consider, hidden unit will be receiving the back propagation message from so many output units. Okay, so now I'm assuming that delta 1 is the change in the weight value it has received from the output neuron 1. Then delta 2 is the value it has received from the output neuron 2. Similarly, in the output layer, we have m number of neurons. From each and everything, it is going to receive some delta value. Okay. Once it is receiving the delta value, then if you see this delta value is propagated through this link only. Each link is having some weight value associated with it. You multiply that delta with the weight associated with it, then find the sum of all these components. So I'm going to compute delta nj, which is nothing but summation of k is equal to 1 to m delta k multiplied by wjk. Okay, so delta k is nothing but what is the error correction term you have received from the output layer. Since we have m output units, we are considering delta 1 up to delta m. Multiply everything with the corresponding weight, find the sum of that. Now that is given as input to this particular unit. Okay, if you consider this, you are giving this input to this unit. Now, what is the error correction term at this particular neuron? That you have to calculate. It is receiving so many inputs. According to these error correction term, it is going to compute the error correction term in this neuron. That is nothing but delta j. Delta j is now delta nj, which you have computed in this formula, that should be multiplied with derivative of the activation function in this. Okay, this unit is having the activation function f of q in j, where q in j is the input to this neuron. Okay, so you find the derivative of that activation function, then multiply that with q in j. You will be getting now delta j. That delta j is nothing but error correction term at this particular hidden layer neuron. Now that you have to use to compute the change in the bias and then change in the weight value. And in the hidden layer, we have the bias as B0J that we have to change now. That we are changing by delta B0J is equal to alpha into delta J. So what is this alpha? Learning rate of the algorithm. Delta J is the value you have calculated in this. Apply this and compute this change in the bias. Similarly, you are going to change the weight also. If you consider here, every hidden layer neuron is receiving its input from the input layer X1. Okay, so what you have to now do is that input is associated with the weight value V1J. Now you have to compute delta V1J, that is nothing but change in this particular weight value. It's nothing but alpha, the learning rate of the algorithm, multiplied by this delta J we have computed, multiplied by Xi. Xi is nothing but this input. So according to the input value, as well as the learning rate value, as well as the error correction term, we are going to compute the change in the weight value. That is nothing but delta Vij. So why here the notation is Vij is, I am considering the ith input unit and J is nothing but jth hidden layer neuron. Okay, so now we have seen the formula for back propagation of errors in the hidden layer. So each hidden unit will find the sum of its delta inputs from the output units by applying this formula. After that, error correction term can be calculated by using this particular formula. Then on the basis of this error correction, you are going to update both the weight value and the bias value associated with that particular hidden unit. Then what is the next step? Now we have done the back propagation. So once you do the back propagation, according to the final error, according to the error, you have propagated to all the layers. So every layer has to update the weight. So here we have simply calculated what should be the change in the weight. We didn't finally update the weight. Now, according to the change you have calculated, you have to update the weight. So in that, weight updation will be taking place in the output unit as well as in the hidden unit. Remember guys, input unit will not do any other computation. All the computation will be done only in the hidden layer as well as in the output layer. So input unit is simply communicating with the outside world, getting the information, sending to the initial layer. That's all. After that, its function is over. Now, each output unit, we have number of output units which ranges from k is equal to 1 to m, is going to update the weight and the bias by applying this particular formula. So if you consider this formula, I am considering the kth output unit. So I am writing the formula as wjk of new is equal to wjk of old plus delta wjk. So this delta wjk only we have calculated in the previous slides. Using that, you update the weight. So why I am writing this wjk? Because every output unit will receive its input from so many hidden layers. So I am writing J for representing the hidden layers and K for representing the output unit. So you update this weight in the kth output unit, as well as you have to update the bias in the kth output unit. That is nothing but BOK of new is equal to BOK of old plus delta BOK. For bias, we have used separate term. So you update both of these two in the output unit. Similarly, you have to update the weight as well as the bias in the hidden unit also. Totally, we have P hidden units. So we are writing that J is equal to 1 to P. In all these units, the weight will be updated by Bij of new is equal to Bij of old plus delta Wij. Oh, sorry guys, it is not delta Wij, it is delta Bij. Okay, and then you have to compute the bias. That's nothing but Boj of new is equal to Boj of old plus delta Boj. Okay, so now we have finally computed the weight value. So with this, can I stop? No, you should not stop. What you have done so far is you have started getting the input from the input layer. You have gone for one forward phase. Then you have computed the error. Then you went for one back propagation. This step will be again repeated because you have updated the weight. After you update the weight, send the new weight. Then again you calculate the output, find the error in the output. If the error is still there, you again go for back propagation. So this will be a loop. So after the updation, continue the feed forward and repeat the steps until the stopping condition is reached. So what is the stopping condition here is, when we train our algorithm, during the training, we will say that we want to go for this many number of maximum iterations, which are called as epochs. So till you reach the maximum number of epochs, you can continue. Sometimes what will happen is, before you reach the maximum number of epoch, your input and the output may be equal. In that case, no need to continue. You stop your algorithm. If your condition is not met like that, you have to continue till the maximum number of epoch is reached. So you're going to continue these things. Either the maximum number of epoch is reached or until the target output matches the actual output. So these are the stopping conditions for your algorithm. So because of this only, in our ANN will be setting epoch, because we don't know when it is going to merge. Sometimes it may not converge also. If it is not converging, you cannot run your algorithm always. You should terminate it. For that, we can specify the epoch.